Now I'm going to tell you what party pips is, and when we talk about party pips. And actually, first I need to build a new party to get the pip guys in there. And the first person we add is Claith Moran. He's patterned after The Exorcist. He's really Max von Sydow is The Exorcist. I actually used a photo from The Exorcist for his picture, but I can't show you that here. We don't have the rights to that photo. Then there's Grazel Sharpears, who is an elf that's patterned after Sherlock Holmes, and I use a really cool picture of Benedict Cumberbatch playing Sherlock Holmes to be my Grazel Sharpears elf. And then Autumn's Daughter is kind of a thief slash assassin type character, and there's a classic Eric's cousin kind of assassin-y kind of fighter type in Rogue's Gallery way back when, kind of borrowing that term. Autumn is the ruler of the Kingdom of True Law, and she has a cadre of assassins called Autumn's Family, and she has the Autumn's Daughters and Autumn's Sons that are the agents of that group. And then we have the King, Robert Elfader, who's also part of this group. I like to run the NPCs as players and through some adventures just to get to know them better, so I understand how they act in adventuring, which helps me kind of make decisions on how they act when they are NPCs in the world of Atlas. So it's a nice feature of the Adventure Workbook that you can just kind of do that and improve your PCs. So we're going to talk a little bit about each one of these guys and their abilities. So when we're talking about them as they go through the adventure, you'll know about them. So for Claith Moran, we are going to look at him and see his stats. He is a weak character. He battled demons. He actually is young, but he looks old because he battled demons. He was a knight battling demons and wound up having his strength sapped from him and his youth sapped from him. But then, in kind of counterbalance, his intelligence and will kind of compensated, and he's a very charismatic character. And his ACs are 10. He just doesn't have any AC, so he needs to stay out of the fights. And when he gets into a fight, he's kind of in trouble. He has bought, with the PIP system, he has bought both Cleric and Magic User. So that is 10 points for Cleric and 20 points for Magic User to get the things. Now, I've adventured with these guys for a while, so you're going to see that they have kind of improved greatly, but that would have been when he started out, this was just a 5 in each one of these settings. And then he also has feats, so he has got 2. He's loaded with magic, but he also in the PIP system, when you get feats to go with that, because you're just buying magic and we're not class dependent, he also gets a lot of feats, so he has a lot of nice things going on to compensate for the fact that he doesn't have any strength. And so he has toughness, and he has improved initiative, and he also has Wand of Magic Missiles. And then there's something about where you can get a favorite enemy during the course of this module. You will see that as you play Suponez's Apprentice, and it will all make sense. His Magic User, he has Magic Missile, Color Spray, Mage Armor, Identify, and Comprehend Languages. And then his Cleric, these are the ones that he is most likely to cast: Bless, Cure Light Wounds, Sanctuary. Sanctuary is a very important one for him because he needs to stay out of combat when that gets going. It's a big melee. Detect Chaos, Entropic Shield, Bless Water, Command, Magic Weapon, Protection from Chaos, and Remove Fear. Alright, and so he just has a staff. He doesn't bother with any long things. He just uses his Wand of Magic Missiles when he's at range, or cast a spell himself, a ranged spell. And so he is, when we built him, we didn't put any points into combat. So he did not have any. He's only picked up one, but you're going to see some extra stuff through here. He is diplomatic. No, actually, I did not put. Yeah, I had very little. I had very little left over. I only had 4 hit points worth of, 4 skill points worth of skill buying because he had bought the Magic User and Cleric at the beginning. And I think he probably put it all in here. So yeah, Knowledge Arcana, Spellcraft, the usual suspects. He is such a demon hunter, I wanted to make sure that he had things like planes and rune lore. And then I forget the last thing that he had at the beginning, but it was something along those lines. But you get a good sense of what we're dealing with here when I talk about Claith Moran. All right, so then let's look at Grazzle Sharpears. Now he's a very interesting Sherlock Holmes-based character in his Theory. For stats, he is got a little bit of strength, very intelligent, pretty quick, decent will, and fairly high charisma. He's a likable guy. The thing about Sherlock Holmes is, he's very smart, but he doesn't have that strong a will. He's a drug addict, even in the Arthur Conan Doyle versions in the beginning. So I always consider that being reasonably weak-willed. And in the game system, he would not fit due to that weak will and all the features that go with that. So, he's got a very high perception. And so when we were building him in our feats, we naturally wanted to do skill focus, perception. And so with skill focus perception, that counts like an ability when you are determining pips. So he gets a +2 plus his +1, so a +3 total for his perception, and then he also has high skill on that as well. Now let's look at his deduction of theory. It's actually really induction of theory, but the show called it the science of deduction. And actually, Sherlock Holmes is always really about induction, where the clues determine the theory, not that you take a theory and then start going down and finding things to support your theory. Sherlock Holmes is actually against deduction, but we still call it the deduction of theory because it's straight off of the TV show. And so he has heightened awareness, which means he can just cast a spell and he kicks up his perception +2. He can do divine favor to make himself fight better. He has a photographic memory spell so that he can just look at something and remember everything about if he casts a spell. Then he can identify. He can get some stuff out of the divination school, 0 levels with a detect magic, detect poison, and all that kind of stuff. He can also comprehend languages with a spell. He can detect secret drawers. True Strike is a really powerful thing that he's gotten because he will use that a lot. And then he has this kind of spider sense thing that if he makes a perception roll, then he gets a bonus to his saves. And that is how we built the first level power for the deduction of theory. Just kind of, you see how we can just kind of make up spells that seem to fit when we're dealing with a theory for an elf, is that we can kind of fit the theme, and you can just kind of do stuff that is off the page when you're doing a theory. But, have level in thought. Don't do things that are just kind of ridiculously stuff. And then you can also just go stuff like True Strike, just straight off of the spell books, and then you know that you're well grounded in where it should be power level wise. And so he's got a longsword attack, throwing daggers, +1 dagger. That's something that he picked up during the adventure, so we added those attacks. And then he's gotten good with his one-handed weapon. So yeah, he's probably a little too powerful to go through exactly what skills were picked for him. But now you can see his AC is he doesn't wear any armor either. His AC is totally his AC is totally dexterity base, and he's picked up a +1 thing in the dungeon to increase his AC to 15. So it's not. It started out as 14. So that's our guy. 15 hit points. The reason he has 15 hit points, he started with 10 plus his con bonus of 0, so he was at 10, and then he gradually has used his skills, and he's a high skill character, and he's kind of worked his way up to a 15 level hit points. So he started at 10, now he's at 15. Then Autumn's daughter has, you see here that she's one of these ones that has just a lot of different types of attacks. And with a max of 8, you start running out of room. She has a short sword normal, short bow normal, a short bow point blank, short bow death rune. She has the death rune and the feats. She has she took the flasks of alchemist fire and put those in, and she also has short sword death rune. She's just, it's just a lot of different choices that she has to do an attack. We hope to someday update this program, probably move it out of Excel into a Java-based program, and at that point we would like to kind of make this, the number of different attacks that you can have, infinite. If we go to a relational database as opposed to storing in Excel spreadsheets, then we're going to be able to do that easier. Then, stats for her is 15, 13, 14, 17, 14, 13, just kind of a well-rounded high dex, but everything else kind of good as well character. And her AC is very high. She wears a chain shirt, and does she use a shield? I think she might use a shield. Assassins tend to use shields. Kind of forgetting exactly how this would be +3, +7. Yeah, must be a shield. And then touch, attack 14, and then the flat-footed attack is a 15. All right, so yeah, she's probably using a light shield. That makes sense. No, I think I made a mistake thinking that she had an 18 thing. I probably have a mistake on this character, so I'm gonna review that. But okay, but we know kind of what she is, and she's improved a little bit too, and she's up to 14 hit points. And then just to kind of finish it off, we have good old Robert the King, and he is going to be traditionally brickish with high strength. Con. He also has very high armor class because he's rich, and he was able to afford straight off full plate, and so he just started walking into the dungeon at full plate. He has a long sword, a shield bash, flail. He's picked up a magic item while he was playing here. He also has the war rune. The war rune provides some nice things. He has a war rune, and he's got feats, and so the war rune, he gets bravery 1 as a passive skill. He gets combat message, bless, divine favor, mend armor and weapons, command, and remove fear. All those are war rune powers. And then he has feats of toughness and improved shield bash. And so that's our guy. That's Robert Elfader, and he's got a lot of really good at weapon kind of stuff. Not archery though. Doesn't do that. Nor throw. But fisticuffs. Yes. So he's got that toughness feature. Did he have toughness? I don't think he did. Yeah, he does have toughness. So you can see that he started with 10, 13, 16, and then he's earned another couple of hit points as he's adventured. And he's up to 106, and we know he gets second level when he gets to 114. These guys are all done with the adventure, and so that's why you're going to see the little increase. All right, so that's party pips. Kind of long, longer than I hoped, detailed description, but you can now see what I'm talking about in terms of the party when dealing with party pips. So, onward.